introduce myself. My name is Craig Kawamura. I live in Boise, Idaho. I'm from Eastern Idaho. I grew up there. I played baseball and football. I enjoy golf. And currently I am the owner of a live video production company. We do live streaming. We do video production. We do a lot of video distribution. And the reason I am presenting this to you today is because of a passion I've had for about 8 years to do something to impact the development of baseball and softball. I have been working with the Idaho Baseball Coaches Association. Kids have a lot of choices today, and we're seeing it impact the numbers that are playing softball and baseball. And part of the number of the reasons why kids are leaving this sport is because they have those choices. But what it really amounts to is that we provide them a system that they can be a part of, that they enjoy and they want to grow in. A lot of kids want to go to college. They want to, play softball at higher levels, and we need to provide them some type of a resource that nurtures them at the speed that they want to go to that. But yet we want to educate them on how do I maneuver through all this to reach my goals. And I believe that with this path that I'm introducing today, we can do that. We can educate the parents of young kids that have no idea what kind of things are out there that their kids can do to advance themselves in the sport. And sometimes we as coaches and parents and that, we get in the way of that progress. And so what I want to do is I want to introduce this path, and I reference path a lot because in my business career and in my past, my wife and I were both ski instructors, and one thing I learned back then are a couple things. One is people are impatient. People want to be the best without the work, without doing the work. And so there's a lot of ways people get to that. Some kids are natural talented athletes. Some kids grow bigger than other kids early. And then that comes back to haunt them later when those other kids that weren't as big and talented grow up to be just as big, and we find out who worked harder during that period of time. And my son was one of them, and where he grew late and was little when he was young. My daughter's just the opposite of that. But what we want to do is we don't want to get in the way of kids that have the passion that's in their heart, and so we kind of want to nurture that as fast as they want to go. So when we talk about this path, we're talking about a progression. Just like in skiing, you can't be a parallel skier the day you jump on the mountain and put a pair of skis on. There's a progress that we use mechanically to teach the kids the proper mechanics of how to go from a wedge turn into what we call step turns to parallel skiing. And it's kind of the same way when you're breaking a kid down on throwing the ball. It starts with the feet up, and it was the same way in skiing. We worked from the feet up. We started working with their feet first. And so that's called, so that's the progression. I'm not here to tell you how you need to teach your players how to do their mechanics. That's not what I'm bringing that up. I'm just talking about there's a progression in that. And then in business, there's a progression or a process that leads to success in business too. And so our system that we've been a part of for the years is kind of got some disconnections in it from the recreational, the very beginner, all the way through to the most advanced. And so we see some kids that adapt and grow with it rapidly, and then we see other kids that have the passion and everything, but they just don't quite get the right nurturing as far as how to go down that path. And so we developed, with the cooperation of Premier Girls Fast Pitch, we developed that progression in our system. And it all begins with recreation. And so I'm going to begin by using the Gals League as my example of recreation, that if we can get down into the Gals League and work with the coaches, who are mostly dads and volunteers and that, but we need to work with them, us travel coaches, the coaches that are teaching a higher level. We need to get down in there and have them teach the skills a little bit deeper. But then when we talk about the progression or the path and the process that we need to have a place for those girls to go when they get better from all this great teaching that we're going to do. We need to have a place for them to go, because now they've got the passion. They have the direction, because we've been down in there teaching them, if you do this, this is what you're going to receive. And a lot of the kids, they want to go to college. They want to play college sports. That's just a big thing today. And a lot of parents are understanding that investment in the kids young may pay off later when they go to college and get college scholarships. We connected up with the Western Regional Director, Dennis Fong, this last February or March. I can't even remember now what the date was. We had that meeting. We had James Asuri from Idaho. He's the Idaho PGF director. And then Tim Barr, the coach of the Idaho Flash. Tim Barr was very influenced by his daughter's participation in PGF, and has had great success with both of his daughters going to Division I schools after their high school careers. One of his daughters went to Purdue, the other one went to Idaho State University, both Division I pretty successful programs. And so Premier Girls Fast Pitch had a lot to do with the success, and so he has a desire to see that come into our area. We had a meeting and we talked about this plan that I had put together, and I needed to connect all the dots, and so that's what we did. We had some meetings with umpires. We had a meeting with the Gals League owners out in Caldwell, and we landed that our first event. We landed out in their facility out there, and it's because we had challenges. We had challenges with the Umpires Association and the cities, and some contracts that they had with the umpires. Subsequently, that's a whole nother topic that maybe at some point is going to get dealt with. And this is in no way meant to put down that organization or anything. It's just that it's became difficult, and so we found a way around it. And thankfully we ran into the owners of the Gals League out in Caldwell, Don Atkinson, and he was way cooperative with us in our efforts to bring something that helps the girls to another level that most of us aren't able to do. And so that's kind of where it came, and that's how we have overcome this challenge that we're having with locations on where we can host these events. And so as you can see up here, we have on the left or right hand side, we have PGF Futures. Well, PGF Futures basically represents your introductory level into tournaments. And so that's where we see that the Gals League is going to begin feeding, because obviously we all love to participate in tournaments on the weekends, and the Gals League likes to do that. And so the Gals League hosts the weekday game schedules and the play during the week, and then on the weekends when we can, we have tournaments. And so the Futures represents basically rec league or introductory level softball and tournaments. And the Premier side, Premier and Platinum side, is the growth side. And the growth side represents our travel, more competitive softball teams throughout the Treasure Valley. And those of you know who you are, and they're the ones that want more out of the game. And so so that's what the growth or the Premier Division is. So whenever there is a tournament that is PGF sanctioned, it will have two divisions. It will have a Futures and it will have a Premier Division in that tournament. And so what that represents is that path. And so I'm going to show you just a kind of a graphic display of what the path is. And as you can see, it's the Gals League. It's the introduction to softball, the emphasis on fundamentals, extra camps and training, introduction seminars on how to navigate to college. And so what is the path? So as you can see, it goes from there, it goes to split to the two competitive levels. And even in the recreation, they have the opportunity to qualify for a regional event. And then the path for the more competitive teams are are those tournaments, PGF national qualifiers, and then of course the berth to the national championship in Huntington Beach, California. That's the goal. That's where kids want to end up, because that's where there are literally hundreds and hundreds of coaches looking at girls at that level, because they're all in one place. Just like the Triple Crown in Colorado, it's a single place where coaches can get to several locations and see several of the girls that they're looking at. And with that, that's why we want to, back at the recreation age, we want to educate them back there on that as maybe a goal. And that's where we're going to get commitment from the Gals League all the way to the national championships, whether it's Premier Girls Fast Pitch, whether it's ASA, whether it's Triple Crown. We want to give these girls the greatest opportunity that they can have. And so once we establish this and go to kind of what we call the norming phase of this, is now we have allowed this to mature. We've given it time. We've gotten cooperation from all the coaches in the programs. We've improved it, because once we put this into place, now we want to start making it better. It's kind of like software. It's, the first version's rough, and then you keep having new version updates, and that's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to update this on occasion and improve it. And so that's why we will have coaches from the teams in the area will get together, and we'll do something similar like what I'm doing here. We'll do a live stream so that everybody can be involved, and it'll be interactive, so we can all make decisions that help our programs. And so the next phase of that is establishing those two divisions when we get into tournaments, because that's the phase that we're in of the path. Is we're in that where we've got the Premier, the competitive, and we've got the Futures, the development. It doesn't matter whether it's City League or the competitive teams. Weekly games are fine to have, and I think it's fine to have weekly games in the middle of the week to take some of the practice that we're doing and kind of put it into play. I think a lot of the travel teams like that, and we want to be able to offer that to them through the Gals. So basically, we're trying to improve the Gals Rec League and bring their numbers up by bringing in the Premier teams to come and play the weekly games. And so the beauty behind that is that it's going to accommodate their travel schedules and let them maintain a higher level of play. And so what that's going to include, it's going to include camps, it's going to include tournaments, and it's going to include showcases. And I just want to clarify something about showcases. Showcases means that there's college coaches coming. And when I started my first showcase last fall, there was always, and it's legitimate. It's a legitimate question, is how many coaches are coming. In the beginning, we may not have very many, but that's because we're developing it. But if we stick to this, we will get coaches coming because we will have a lot of players that will be able to be seen, and we want to provide them with those opportunities. And so so feel free to read through this, but I wanted to just summarize that. But then we want to get into that diversity. We want to have those camps, those tournaments and showcases, and you can see why when you read through these, how our camps need to be small. They need to have small ratio groups. This isn't about making money. We're not developing this for to have 200 girls in a camp and have 20 girl catchers being taught at the same time. You just can't work with that many at the same time and give them all their money's worth. And so the camps will be small. The tournaments, premier and future classes. I mean, we've gone through this. One of the main points we want to do is we want it to be hosted by different organizations throughout the year and the seasons. We do not want any one particular club or team to dominate these events when we have them. We don't want them to be time consuming. The showcases, when we do the showcases, we want to have the various formats. Everybody really enjoyed that showcase that we did last fall because of some of the rules, the limits on how many runs you can score in one inning, drop dead times. Well, there's a reason for that. Is college coaches like the fact that they're seeing players from both teams, and coaches are there's substitution rules are kind of out the window, and coaches can substitute in kids as they feel necessary, mainly because if there's a coach there looking at a player, they want to make sure that player's in. And so the last thing before I close is the exchange. This is the absolute I call it the nitro in what we're doing. And to me, this is the important part, and this is what will make it tremendous, is the exchange. We have already been in discussions with coaches from Northern Idaho, Central Washington, and all of Southern Idaho to do what we call an exchange. And that's why this plan, this is what really puts this on steroids, is that we have cooperation already from several of the teams from Central Washington and Oregon. We've talked to them. They're really open to this idea where we hold tournaments over here, they come over here and support them. They hold tournaments over there, we guarantee we're going to come over and support them. And the same with Northern Idaho, that we will be rotating around tournaments in these three areas. These are really the heart of it anyway. But then everything will be surrounded on the opportunity to go on to PGF regional qualifiers to qualify for that national event. And we all know, and several of you know, that it's a whole nother world down in Southern California. The best teams in the country are there. It's like they're on their own little island there with so much talent that if they get rid of one kid, they've got another talented kid right behind them, where we all kind of struggle with that in our areas. And partly because everything's diluted. There are so many teams and clubs out there that all the best ball players are getting diluted and spread out about so many teams that we're all just, in what I would say is we're all mediocre. And we've seen that. We've seen teams like at the Sparkler that come from back east that are just phenomenal. But what it's done is it's opened up our eyes to what we need to do. And so if we do this, then the winners of our premier side, we will help the winners of the tournament have their entries paid for to attend a PGF regional qualifier and give them that opportunity to get to nationals. And so that kind of wraps up my presentation. The only thing that I can say right now is it's worth an effort. It's something that we've needed. There's still a little bit more work to be done as far as scheduling. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to get prepared to schedule tournaments for next spring in locations. And I also want to let you know that our first event that we've already got scheduled is the weekend of the 18th in September here in Caldwell at the Gals Complex, our first PGF event where we'll have the two divisions, the Futures and the Premier side. And we will be taking registrations here shortly as we get things set up, because I know everybody's going to be having tryouts here in the next couple of weeks and forming new teams, and they're starting to plan their schedules out. I'm already getting calls from coaches affirming that we are going to host this event, and it's going to happen. And so whether it's just a small one or it becomes a big one right off the bat, we're going to do it. That we could form some additional teams that would like to get together kind of as Wildcat teams and go over those regional qualifiers, and we can do them out of our exchange. So as you can see, we've got teams in northern Idaho, central Washington, and southern Idaho. We can make some good teams to go down and be in that national tournament out of this area with the cooperation of all the coaches. I want to thank you for your time. I'm passionate about this. PGF's passionate about this, and we want to take this all to a new level.